Souls in Time by Ichinose. This is a story of true love through centuries, a love that outlives many lives and to this day continues. For those cynics out there, sit back and read my story. Laugh and wonder at the pure magical power. For what is this world without mysteries and affairs of the soul? My story begins in Moscow, mid-18th century. Sophia alighted from the family carriage into the cold night. She wrapped her shawl tightly around her bare shoulders, shivering, not from the cold, but from a fate that had been mapped out hours before. The atmosphere in the carriage had been happy and light. Sophia's mother had not stopped talking throughout the trip. So proud was she, and rightfully so. Her daughter had just become betrothed to the most eligible bachelor in Moscow. This is the position she had groomed Sophia to fill from such an early age. Sophia had been quiet, her good breeding preventing her from the turmoil in her heart. This was her path, her duty, was it not? Very few young ladies of her class marry for love. To fight her father's wishes would only bring misery to those she loved. He had found the perfect man, handsome, rich, talented. This vision of manly perfection had declared his love for her, and she, as was expected, had accepted his hand in marriage. Ah, yes. It was the night for this perfect couple to announce their engagement. That was how she found herself on the marble steps of the family house of her betrothed. A large fire was lit outside for the menials, and Sophia's coachman was already warming himself. She looked over at him and he gave her a wink. He had been with her family since before she was born. She wanted to slip over and stand beside him, laughing and joking into the night. "Face forward, Sophia," said a little voice in her head. She filed past the porter and entered the open hall. Sergei, her fiancé, was waiting for her. He took her hand and whisked her into the ballroom. The house was overflowing with well-wishers and family. Sophia's hands felt clammy, and her heart was in her throat. She smiled and danced mazurkas and waltzes in her usual fashion. Her optimistic nature had taken over, and she knew that she could make this situation work for her. What could be so miserable? Many girls would love to be her. However, the yearning she had been born with was still there, unidentifiable but real. As soon as she had a quiet minute, Sophia walked outside for some fresh air. Looking over the view of Moscow, she found herself sighing, ever so quietly. "Hello, I'm Alex." There was someone standing close to her. She had not even felt his presence. "I'm Sophia." She looked up at him. "Ah, Alex, Nadia has mentioned you many times. It's nice to finally meet you." "The pleasure is mine." Why couldn't she feel him standing so close to her? Strangely, she wanted to throw her arms around him and scream, "Welcome home!" From where did this insanity come? Unsure of herself, she took a step back. Alex sat down and silently lit his pipe. She wanted to sit beside him, but she knew it was not her place, not in this life. They chatted comfortably. He seemed to be able to read her soul. If only they could stay here on this veranda forever, frozen in time. "Sophia, have you seen Alex?" Nadia was one of Sophia's friends. Sergei was with her.
Ah, we found them.
We were looking everywhere for you two. So you finally met my Alex, continued Nadia. Sophia nodded and looked out over the view of Moscow once more. Sophia writes the most beautiful poetry, offered her dear friend. Alex cries when he reads poetry. Sophia looked at Alex. Their eyes locked. Come on, you two, let's dance, said Sergei. Sophia could not move. She could hear Nadia and Sergei talking in the background. Their voices seemed so far away. She knew that she would have to turn calmly and pretend nothing had been stirred inside her. Alex did not move. Did he think this was a game? She found herself wondering which one would turn away first. It had to be her. He was not going to budge. She must, but she can't. With all her strength, Sophia turned towards Sergei, took his arm and walked back into the house. She wanted to go home immediately, but not leave Alex behind. It felt like abandonment. A man she had just met had suddenly become a responsibility. Their souls had become inseparable, inexplicably. When Sergei offered to take her home, she had no choice but to slip out into the dark night without an impossible goodbye to the familiar soul inside.